Adolf Hitler, one of the darkest, most controversial, and most destructive figures of the 20th century. He was not just a dictator. He became a symbol of how propaganda, hatred, and the manipulation of public emotions can set the entire world on fire. Hitler's story is the living example of how an ordinary man can rise to the top by feeding on social despair, economic collapse, and a population desperate for change. In this documentary, we explore his childhood, his rise to power, the creation of Nazi Germany, the horrors of World War II, and his ultimate downfall. Adolf Hitler was born on April 20, 1889, in Austria. His father was a strict and authoritarian customs officer. His mother, on the other hand, was gentle and deeply protective of her son. In these early years, Hitler experienced a conflicting emotional world. On one side, admiration for authority. On the other, a deep sense of isolation. As a young man, Hitler dreamed of becoming a painter, but his applications to the Vienna Academy of Fine Arts were rejected twice. This rejection left a scar on him. During the same period, he became exposed to rising nationalist, racist, and anti-Semitic ideas in Vienna. These ideologies would later become the foundation of a new political movement that changed the fate of the world. When World War I began in 1914, Hitler volunteered for the German army. The war gave him a sense of belonging, but also left heavy psychological trauma. Germany's defeat became, in Hitler's eyes, a betrayal. According to him, the war had not been lost on the battlefield, but stabbed in the back by traitors and Jews from within. This belief later evolved into a core argument of Nazi propaganda. After the war, Germany was drowning in chaos. Economic collapse, hyperinflation, mass unemployment, political instability. People were angry and desperate. And desperation is often fertile ground for radical ideologies. Hitler joined the German Workers' Party. Within a short time, thanks to his powerful oratory and commanding presence, he took control of the party. The name was changed to National Socialist German Workers' Party, the Nazi Party. Hitler understood mass psychology well. His method was simple: define the enemy, promise salvation, offer a simple explanation for a complex crisis. He told Germans that the nation would rise again, that the Aryan race was destined to rule, and that Germany would be cleansed of internal enemies. In a shattered society, this message struck like lightning. By the early 1930s, the Great Depression hit Germany hard. Millions were unemployed, the political system was collapsing, and Hitler presented himself as the only leader strong enough to restore order. In 1932, he received millions of votes. In 1933, President Hindenburg appointed him Chancellor of Germany. Hitler then moved quickly, clamping down on the free press, imprisoning political opponents, disbanding labor unions, concentrating parliamentary power into his own hands. Shortly after, he declared himself Führer, the supreme leader of the German nation. Behind Hitler's power stood one of the most effective propaganda machines in history. Joseph Goebbels, Minister of Propaganda, controlled every aspect of public communication. Newspapers were centralized, radio broadcasts were nationalized, cinema became a tool for ideology, schools rewrote education. The Hitler Youth indoctrinated children from an early age. Nazi rallies featured massive, synchronized crowds shouting the same slogans. Hitler wasn't just a leader anymore, he became a belief system. At the core of Nazi ideology stood the myth of the superior Aryan race. This worldview placed millions outside the boundaries of humanity. Jews, Slavs, black people, people with disabilities. Hitler's obsession with racial purification led to one of the darkest crimes in human history, the Holocaust. Millions of Jews and other targeted groups were systematically murdered in concentration and extermination camps. This genocide remains one of the most painful scars on the conscience of humanity. On September 1st, 1939, Germany invaded Poland. The Second World War had begun. At first, German forces saw great success. Blitzkrieg tactics, rapid conquests across Europe, the fall of France. But Hitler's greatest strategic mistake was invading the Soviet Union. The war dragged on, resources dwindled. The Allies pushed Germany from both the east and west. As Berlin collapsed, Hitler retreated into the underground Führer bunker. On April 30th, 1945, realizing defeat was inevitable, he committed suicide. Germany surrendered shortly afterward. Today, Hitler stands as the ultimate symbol of totalitarianism, racism, propaganda manipulation, blind obedience. His legacy teaches a harsh truth. When a society becomes desperate enough, even the most extreme ideas can gain majority support. Hitler's rise reminds us of the importance of freedom of speech, a free press, checks on political power, resistance to hate-based ideologies. His story is not only a history lesson, it is a warning for the future. Hitler's life is the chilling example of how ordinary individuals, under the right conditions, can reshape the world in the worst possible way. Understanding his rise is not just about studying the past. It is about ensuring history never repeats itself.